The violence in the ghettos escalated, and here we have an instance of increased violence. The Nazis used the hanging of uh, traders like Vladek, who used the black markets to trade and exchange goods with one another and make money that way. But if they were caught again, they could be hanged. And here his friends were hanged in a public square, which again would be used to as a deterrent to stop other Jewish people from using the black markets. It was also a way to sort of show their power and intimidate the Jewish community with this display of violence. Another sort of escalation of the violence was the fact that certain segments of the Jewish community were being targeted and taken away. At first, it was just the older generation, so Anya's grandparents, who were sent away. And as Vladek sort of explains in this scene, they had very little choice but to give up, no longer protect the older members of their family from being taken away. And this was one of the sacrifices they made in order to save the rest of the family. So again, we have an instance where the systematic murder of the Jewish community started gradually with just the older segments of the population, and then it would gradually move on to the removal, extermination of the entire population in certain parts of Europe. There's also the instance where everybody was told to meet in the central square and the stadium, and everybody was going to be assessed and determined whether they were able-bodied or not. And again, it seemed apparent that if you were, it was a sort of this selection process whereby those who were able-bodied and able to work were sent to one side of the stadium, and those who were not exploitable labor, old people, families with lots of children, they were sent to the other side of the stadium. And it was implied or inferred that those people who could not work, who were of no use for the Nazis, they would be exterminated, sent to the gas chambers, extermination camps. And it was a very sort of systematic way of exploiting, and then the genocidal project of first killing people who were no longer useful, or they couldn't make use of their exploited labor. Vladek loses not only his father and sister in that prior selection at the stadium, he also loses his son, his firstborn son, Rashu, who they first send to what they think is a safer ghetto where they're taken care of by Tasha. But as it turns out, that ghetto is invaded, and they are under attack by the Gestapo. And Tasha makes the sort of horrifying decision to poison herself and the children rather than have them taken away by the Gestapo and sent to an extermination camp. So this is how Vladek loses his firstborn son. And it seems as if this moment is something that haunts not only Vladek and Anya for the rest of their lives, but it also has an influence on Art's life as well. In book 2, he'll talk about his sibling rivalry with his brother that he's never met. But it's always a sort of haunting presence of their firstborn son, and never sort of having a sense of closure in regards to his death. And it's, again, one of the most tragic parts of book 1. After losing their parents, Anya's father, a millionaire, he is not able to save himself. He is sent away, and again, they are losing their friends and family as each member is being sent away and the ghettos are being cleared. Everybody is being sent to concentration camps. Anya and Vladik are sort of left on their own. And in that panel there we have that image of the swastika being sort of laid out in terms of the fact that they have nowhere safe that they can go and are really left on their own at this point. So the escalation of violence has again limited their options in life, and they are forced into hiding and looking at the kindness of old acquaintances that they can't really count on, right? So I thought we would look at some other examples of where there is a breakdown in terms of who you can trust and who you can't trust, and look at why maybe Vladik experiences a kind of distrust of his friends and family. So I thought we would take a closer look at some examples of betrayal in book 1 of Mouse. And when we think about this idea of betrayal, what that actually means, you can start thinking about your own definitions of betrayal and consider what it is, what it means to you. So the word betrayal, if you look it up in the dictionary, you'll find it has sort of several meanings. In one instance, it means to help the enemy. So in cases of betraying somebody's trust and helping the enemy, you could say that is very much present in Mouse. It could also mean to surrender somebody, so to sort of commit a treacherous act and surrender somebody, give somebody up. It could also mean to go against a promise, and more generally to break somebody's trust. So in all these instances, or in all those sort of meanings of this word, we can look through Mouse Book 1 and find some examples of betrayal. And when we're doing so, we can also think about what the effect of betrayal has on somebody's, in this case, Vladik's sense of, or his sort of connections or relationships with other people. We know in the present he is a very distrustful person. He can't even trust Mala, his wife. So it seems as if his sense of betrayal and his distrust of others originates in his experience in the Holocaust and not being able to trust a single soul except for Anya in these moments of life and death. So for instance, on page 113 of book 1, we get an example of betrayal. In this instance, Vladik and his family are hiding in a bunker in an attic of a house, and one day a stranger discovers their hiding spot, and they trust him, so they could have killed him on the spot and then remained hidden. But they sort of trusted this individual, and he said he was starving, that he was just looking for scraps to feed himself and his wife and their starving baby, so they trust him and let him go on his way. And then that afternoon, after they've given the stranger a little bit of food to take back with them, the Gestapo appear, and their hiding spot is revealed. They are all captured. So this moment is an example of betrayal. They trusted a stranger and are betrayed, and their hiding spot revealed. They also trust Haskell, who is the chief of the Jewish police, and he has a lot of power within the Jewish community, but as it turns out, he is what Vladik calls a combinator, which is a schemer or crook, and he again exploits the Jewish community in order for his own selfish gain. In this instance, Anya's father, a millionaire, tries bribing Haskell to help him to get some help for himself and try to uh, bribe his way out of being sent away. And then Haskell takes the jewels but does not help Anya's father. And eventually, Anya's parents are sent away to the extermination camps and killed. So Vladek's friends, Haskell and his cousin Pishak, they were what he calls combinators, which is sort of schemers or crooks who are willing to exploit their fellow Jewish community just for selfish gain. So they are part of the Jewish police, who are, again, another example of betrayal. So they are helping the enemy and often were just as brutal as the SS Gestapo. So in this case, Haskell and Milok, or Haskell and Pishak, they sort of cheat the Jewish community out of their money. In one case, Pishak, I think, makes a cake out of laundry soap and sells it to other members of the Jewish community who buy this and get sick. And there's other examples where they're just out to exploit the community and they're not there to help. It's very sort of selfish and self-interested, and they're just sort of saving themselves. At the end of book one, we also have the instance where, again, Vladek and Anya are trusting their friends, in this case, Mandelbaum and his nephew, Abraham, and with their friends, they are arranging to be smuggled to safer countries. So they want to get to Hungary, which they think they will be safer there, and they trust these smugglers with their lives, and eventually they are also betrayed while trying to board the train. The smugglers turn them in, and they're caught and sent away to Auschwitz. And this is sort of the end of part one, book one, and Vladek's narrative of how he and Anya ended up in Auschwitz in the concentration camp. But as we could sort of talked about, it was an ongoing, gradual escalation of violence, and in these instances, we have people acting very selfishly out for their own self-interests, and this is sort of what the survival scenario demanded of somebody, was to, again, to be selfish and to only consider your own safety. Vladek and Anya are the only people that they can trust, and Vladek is the stronger of the two. He again encourages Anya to continue on with her struggle and not to give up or lose hope. So one of the central questions that we can ask ourselves after reading book one and while we're reading book one is the fact that, in a survival scenario, many people are willing to do whatever it takes in order to survive, even betraying friends, so-called friends, your own community members, and again, it becomes about a sort of self-interest. You're looking after yourself. You can't have time or the inclination to care about anybody else. Vladek is somewhat of the exception. He tries to take care of his family as best he can. In some instances, he does have to make sacrifices, such as giving up the elderly members of his family, but he is always sort of protecting of Anya and does whatever he can to protect her from succumbing to the Nazis, and also not giving up. So she has to also sort of learn to fight for herself and not give up and